Hey everybody, it's Queen Aset Haru, and I'm here today with another exciting edition of Ask An Aquarius. Okay, so I got a message. I was talking to this young lady last night, and she is 27 years old, and she's bisexual. And she asked me, how did I know that I was a lesbian? Because she's questioning her sexuality right now and trying to figure out what's what and who's who, and is basically, seeking information. So I was like, okay, how did I know? Well, I didn't know at first. My first intimate anything was with a woman. I was 4 years old, and a 5-year-old girl kissed me behind a truck. I'll never forget. It was like an old-fashioned van. It was in the 70s, or like the 70s going into the early 80s. And we were behind this old-fashioned, tacky-looking van. It was like they had like a picture of like a lion painted on the side of it or something. And she kissed me, and I kissed her back. I didn't really think anything of it. I didn't realize at that moment that there was a difference between liking a guy and liking a girl. I didn't know anything about it. So what happened is that as I got older, 4, 5, 6, I began to realize that my mother did not like lesbians. She never called them lesbians. She called them bulldaggers. And I became aware that she didn't really care for them. And that, they were coming around. She would see them where she was working at, and she didn't like them, and she always had something smart to say about them. But I started to realize she was talking about me. I was like, wait a minute, I like women. Because I didn't know what a bulldagger, quote unquote, was. So when she started to talk about it more and more, I realized and she didn't talk about it a lot. She just mentioned it in passing because my mother was a barmaid before she became a cop. And these women, would come into the bar and I would hit on her, and she was a barmaid, so she, would get an attitude about it. And every once in a while, she would mention an incident. So from listening, because I was always listening to my mom talk, I was always eavesdropping. I was so nosy, and I'd be all in the conversation, and I'd be like all in the conversation. And my mom just let me, It wasn't until my stepfather came that she started trying to get me out of adult conversations. And that was because he thought it was inappropriate, which it was. So I'd be all up in the conversation. And so she was talking about these bulldaggers and how she felt about them. And I realized, oh shit, she's talking about me. And I was like, fuck. So my first inclination was just, I'm going to hide it. Because as a young girl, as a young Aquarius, I just thought you hide things. If you don't nobody know something, you just hide it. That was my first inclination. So I hid it. I hid it. I just, whenever an incident occurred, or whenever I liked the girl, or I was looking at a girl, or whatever it was, I just would not acknowledge it, and I just hid it from even myself. So I told myself, and I was young, I told myself, okay, I am going to be normal, quote unquote. I was always trying to find ways to be more normal, because I always knew I was unusual. And people always made it like it was a problem. Even to this day, people act like it's a problem that I'm not ordinary. They act like it's a problem when anybody's not ordinary. If you're not the status quo, if you're not what society says you should be at your age, at your height, at your weight, at your gender, then it's a problem. And that's true of many of us. I'm sure many of you watching this have even experienced that. So if you're not what society says, you're a problem. So I was always trying to be more normal. So to me, okay, the normal thing to do is to like guys. Everybody else likes guys like guys. So when I did like a female, I just hid it and didn't pay it no mind, or pushed it out my mind, tried to ignore it basically. And that went on for the majority of my youth. I never acknowledged anything until I went to high school. And when I went to high school, I went to Creative and Performing Arts High School. And there was a lot of people who were gay. Gay people have a tendency to be in the arts. It's one of our things, art, fashion, and not just that. I mean, there's gay people in everything. There's gay people in the military. There's gay people in engineering. There's gay people everywhere. And that's one of the things I always tell people is that most gay people are in the closet. So you probably know more gay people than you really realize. Somebody told me the other day that I was the prettiest lesbian they had ever seen. And I was like, you just don't know. You probably know a lot more that are much prettier. I'm telling you, 15% of us are out. That means like the other, 80 something percent is in the closet. So, I mean, it's a quite a large percentage. So you never really know. So I just stayed in my little closet, and in denial to even myself. Even myself. So then in high school, when I was around all these gay people and they were just doing their thing, I ain't paying no mind. I was like, okay, they doing their thing. And then I started to talk with the lesbians. I mean, just conversation like, why don't you like guys? And just asking questions. And I was always very curious about everything. So I just started talking to different types of people. High school opened me up to all kinds of type of people. Because up until high school, I lived in a black neighborhood around black people doing black things. High school came, I was introduced to South Philadelphia and all types of people. And it was amazing because I got a chance to really grow at that time and go to the mosque and, like everybody was into different things. So I got a chance to mishmash and, smorgasbord from what everybody was into and see what life had to offer. So, then when the lesbians were talking to me, and then I ended up having a intimate encounter with one of them, because I wanted to experiment and see like what the hell it was about. And that's the first clue. If you open to experimentation, that's the first clue that you might not be straight. And then the experimentation led to more experimentation. And for a long time, I would say that I was heterosexual with bisexual tendencies. I was always so clever. Aquarius is so smart and we're always so clever. And that was what I said for a long time. And then I kept experimenting with males, and I was, dating guys. I had a boyfriend, dating females, not really dating them, but just kind of like doing intimate things with them and stuff like that. And then I started to have full-blown sex with them. It just progressed, And then by the time I was married, like 18, my daughter was born by then. I had my daughter at 17. And by the time I was 18, I knew that it was more than just a tendency because it had happened too many times and was continuing to happen. And I was favoring women and talking mostly to women, and it was just happening all the time. But I was married to this man. So after my marriage, I left my marriage. I ended it. And then I still went through my bisexual thing, dating men, dating women, And then one day, I was in college, and this was like a couple years later, and I was in college, and I was like, this is not working for me. And I was like I was soul searching, because at this time, was around the time I found spirituality and Mayat. I started to be honest with myself instead of hiding things from myself. And I said to myself that day, self, what is really going on here? Like, seriously, what is going on here? And I realized that, a lot of things that I did was because I was still under that guise of wanting to appear normal, So bisexuality gave me that guise of normalcy. I was out with men, they, were going places. And that was always my thing. Like, I just didn't connect with them. But they gave me this beard, this smoke screen. So I didn't want people to know that I was messing with women, So they gave me a perfect alibi, a perfect smoke screen. Nobody would think I was messing with women because I'm always on a date with a guy, got a boyfriend, got a husband, Nobody would ever think that. So it was my smoke screen, And I started to get real with myself. Like, why are you doing this? What is this really about? What do you really like about men? And when I really got to the bottom of it, it was like, I liked sex. Love sex. I liked going places. I liked the things they bought me. I love presents. I did that 5 love languages quiz, and my top one was gifts. That is my love language, presents. And men would give me jewelry and clothes and money and take me places. So I thought that was decent. That was a lot of fun, you know? But when I got down to the nitty gritty of it and I started to get real about it, that's all it was. I liked what they gave me and I liked having sex. I liked going places. But I never really wanted to connect with them, you know? I would talk to them when I was bored, obviously, but I never really connected the way I did with women. So when I started to get real about it, I was like, this is not working for me. And I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it to, have a smoke screen, which isn't fair to them. And I want to be under this guise of somewhat normalcy. I can hide under this guise of normalcy. And it's not fair to anybody that's involved. So at like 22, 23 years old, I came out the closet. I was in college. I think I was 23. And I just came out, I think I wrote a paper, or it was something I wrote. I think it was a paper. And I just came out the closet. I just was like, F it. Like, and I just decided on that day, like, whoever don't, because a lot of people gave me a lot of heat for it when I first came out. I had men and women giving me heat, telling me, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. And men are the worst. Like, they the biggest haters. Like, oh my God. Some of the gentlemen that I came across, like, some of the gentlemen were cool, but some of them were just haters, like haters. Like, they don't even want to see you happy with a woman. Like, even if it happens, they're like hating. Like, it was ridiculous. So, I got a lot of that, and I dealt with a lot of that. And finally, I was just like, I don't care. I was just like, I don't care. I don't care what nobody thinks about anything that I do. Spiritually, sexually, romantically, educationally. I just don't care. I got tired of society imposing their standards on me all the time. And society to me is such a hypocrite. Because stuff that really does matter, nobody really, goes to bat for. Nobody really, some people do, but everybody doesn't, get behind it. It's like society was just such a hypocrite to me. Everybody's in these little groups, and when you attack somebody's group, they scream discrimination, but people always attacking another group. Like, if you attack black people, you get a mad backlash about discrimination. But black people will sit there and put down people who are gay. Or gay people will sit there and put down people who are transgender. It's the weirdest thing to me. People from America sit down and put down non-Americans. Everybody's always trying to be in this us versus them kind of clique. And everybody's always the other, and there's something wrong with the other, And I just saw it for the game that it is. And I just decided that no matter what anybody felt about what I did, I was going to do it anyway. I was going to do it anyway, and I wasn't, no apologies, no excuses, no regrets. I was going to do it, and I wasn't going to let nobody tell me the opposite of that. And that's how I started living my life from that point on. And that's why I've gotten to where I've gotten to, and that's why I'm content today. Because I decided to live the way I wanted to live, regardless of anybody else's expectations. So that's how it happened. And then after I decided that men just didn't work for me, I just stopped seeing them. I had a cameo with Voldemort. That definitely didn't work for me. And I just said, you know what? After Voldemort, I was like, I'm not doing it again. It doesn't work for me. Every time I try to make myself do it, it doesn't work for me. So I'm just like, I'm going to do what works. I'm going to do what makes me happy. And that's another thing. Every time I was in a relationship with a guy, I was so unhappy, depressed, anxious. I never trust them. So I'm always looking like, what he going to do? I'm always looking at him sideways, You can't live like that. And, I make a much better friend to them and a much better sister to them because that energy is gone, So I just always found myself so unhappy. And I would always say it was him. Like, oh, it's this guy's fault because he did this. It's that guy's fault because he isn't that. It's this guy's fault for this. And I realized that, yeah, they did have those flaws, but it really wasn't them. It was me. When you somewhere that you don't belong, you never feel comfortable. Ever. Like, even for maybe moments or spurts, but you don't feel truly at peace. if you're somewhere you don't belong. And I kept getting all these signs. Like one time I went to go see this guy and ran right into a gay parade. And I was like, it was like such a big sign. I mean, there was rainbows everywhere. And I was like, okay, what are the chances that I come visit you in a different state? And on the day I get there, there's a gay parade in front of my hotel. I kept getting all these weird signs like that. The universe is funny like that. They keep putting things in your face like, hey, and it just became more and more obvious to me. And then my relationships with women became more and more intense and more bonded. And I just want, and women are like amazing to me. Like when I see women, I'm like my jaw drops. It was never like that for a man. I never had that kind of energy. It would be an excitement, like, oh, he's cute. Like, even to this day, I'll say, he's so handsome. What's his name? From the Cardi B song. And my friends will all laugh at me. But it wasn't like that with women. It was like a draw, like a energy, like a pull. And I'd be like, yo, who is that? Like I gotta shoot my shot. Like who is that? And it was never like that with men. With men, it was like, oh, he's cute, he's handsome, okay, like his car. It was like more superficial, and it was never an energy. It was never a draw. I let men pick me. Like, oh, they wanted me, so I'd be like, oh, okay, I'll pick him. He likes me, I'll pick him. Oh, he's cute, I'll pick him. It was more like that. But women, it's like, ow, her. It's like more of a aggressive, assertive energy to it, and it's a energy like a pull to her. I don't feel pulled to men. It's just like, okay, I'll let him pick me. He'll probably be fun. Like he got some money, he might have some good sex. I'll let him pick me. And it was so nonchalant. It was never like a draw. So I realized it didn't work for me, so I left it alone. And it's funny to me because men and women to this day always hit me up and they're like, oh, you're so pretty, or oh, you shouldn't be gay. Oh, they always hit me up and say all this crazy stuff. And I don't even respond. I just block, delete, block, delete, block, delete. I don't even respond to it because at this point in my life, I don't care what it is. If it's emotions, if it's money, if it's career, if it's spirituality. At this point in my life, I'm not letting nobody tell me nothing about nothing. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of people imposing their beliefs on me. I'm tired of people imposing their ideas on me. I'm tired of that. I'm thinking and doing what I want to do, and that's it. And you like people sometimes even like they'll give me suggestions and I'll listen to their suggestion. I'll discern it real quick. And if it's not for me, I toss it right out. I toss it right out. I only retain now what is useful, what I want to retain, and that's why a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, you shut that down real quick. Somebody say something to me, they'll be like, you just shut it down. I'm like, because I'm not trying to hear it. I don't hear none of that. I don't care what your spiritual system is. I don't care what you think I should do with my body. I don't care about none of that. I don't care about it. I don't want to hear about it. Just shut up, And it just irks me to even be imposed with it. Like for it even to come towards me is an insult. And I'm just like, back up, And it happens all the time. Now as I'm older, less people try to impose their will on me, mostly because they know it's not going to work. But when I was younger, I noticed a lot of that societal pressure to conform. And I've always been a nonconformist, and it's only gotten worse. It's just over the years, like I'm now at the point where I'm just not even trying to hear it, I let it affect me when I was younger, but as I got older, I just rejected it, and I just reject it, over and over again. So that's how I knew my sexuality. Just soul searching, dating, and trial and error. And one day, I just got real with myself, and I just knew that I had always known. I did. I knew that I had always known. And now, I'm just preparing myself. I'm preparing myself for a wife. I'm preparing myself for a beautiful wife. That's all I'm doing. Preparing myself emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, just preparing myself for that union. Um, and I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited to marry a woman. Very excited about it. Um, because I know it's going to be different than my first marriage, because it's going to be something I really want to do and not something I'm just doing because I want to look a certain kind of way. I don't care how I look. I don't care who don't like it. I don't care if they think it's awkward. I don't care what they think. Somebody told me the other day, a gay couple was telling me that they were going to do their ceremony in a certain kind of way with a minister, I think it was, so the rest of their family could feel more comfortable. And I said, well, what do you want to do? She's like, I would like to have a priestess. She's from a certain, I think she's Yoruba, so she would like to have a Yoruba priestess do the ceremony. And I was like, well, then have the priestess do the ceremony. And she was like, I can't. My family's coming. I'm already gay. I just want them to be comfortable. And I was like, look, it's your wedding. It's your life. Do what makes you comfortable. And that's where I'm at this point. It's all about what makes me comfortable. And if people don't like it, they don't have to be a part of my world. And that's one thing I tell people. I don't care if you're gay, you're straight, you're bi, whatever you are, do your thing. And people that love you are going to accept you, they're going to support you, and they're going to encourage you. And people who are ignorant, people who are hateful, because that's all about hatred. All of that's hatred: racism, sexism, homophobia, transgender phobia, transphobic, whatever they call it. All this is hatred. It's all rolled up into one ball of hatred. So people who are like that, they're going to stay like that. Hatred isn't something that we're born with. Nobody hates anybody when they're born. They've been taught that, and they've chosen to keep those teachings. Over the years, they've chosen to allow that into their soul and their heart. There's nothing you can do to change that. So I say, don't try. Don't even try. Leave them in their bubble and go enjoy your life. It's Queen Rue, and I'll see you next time.